بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الخلق والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وهدى وتقى يا أرحم الراحمين. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها، وإن كل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. Before I start the lecture today, I would like to give my condemnations and condolences for the martyrs, the shuhada that were killed in the terrorist attack of New Zealand. It was quite a very unfortunate incident. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, protect our families and children, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him to accept them in al-firdaus al-a'la. ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. So inshallah they are alive with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in a very good state, inshallah. So please keep them in your prayers and keep their families in your prayers. Inshallah, we are all one as a Muslim community and as a human beings. And inshallah, we give all of our support for the families, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, today's lesson is the beginning of a huge journey. We're going to talk about Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ibrahim al-Khalil, the companion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at this point, it's very critical, because at this point is the start and the initiation of how the world and how the order of the world is going to be composed and going to be structured. Let's go back a little bit in time. Last time we talked about Salih, right? Let's go before that. Hud alayhi salam. We said that Hud alayhi salam died in Hadramaut, which is, let me just move this away, which is over here, right? If you can see the cursor. Can you see it? Okay, so it's over here, Hadramaut. And he had two children. He had Qahtan and Faligh. Faligh, with a ghain, Faligh. Some say Faligh, but Faligh is the most reported. So Qahtan remained in Hadramaut, where Hud alayhi salam was buried, Hadramaut. And Faligh moved to Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, which is in modern day Iraq. And it's called Mesopotamia, which means Bilad al-Rafidain. Bilad al-Rafidain, which is the land between two rivers. The river of Dijla and Furat. So Faligh has lived in there, the son of Hud alayhi salam. Him and his descendants and whoever came with him and their descendants lived in those cities in Mesopotamia. And during that time, it was different, the world. It wasn't like how we know it today. You know, today, unfortunately, like, we keep saying nationals and like, what nationality are you? So based on that, people say Ibrahim is Iraqi, right? Because he was born in Babel, which is in Iraq. But Ibrahim was not Iraqi. There was no Iraq back then. Back then, the king of the world, Namrud, he was not even a Semite. He was a Hamite. He was Hami. And the world, the composition of the world, you had people spreading in Anatolia, Egypt, the Arabian Peninsula, Mesopotamia, Syria, India, Persia, those regions, those close regions to the original spot where Adam and Nuh were, which was in the Arabian Peninsula and Mesopotamia and Syria. They just spread around those areas that are close, and they were composed of nations that descend from Ham, Sam, and Japheth, not just a specific descendants. It was during that time where we had those spreading, where nations started formulating that they were the descendants of a certain ancestor, during the time of Ibrahim, after his birth, not before that. So when Ibrahim was born, the whole world was still an assembly of those people who are descendant from Nuh, not a specific ancestor. Now, Mesopotamia, especially Babylon, the city of Babylon was reconstructed, after the flood. And the descendant of Nuh, Cush bin Ham bin Nuh, he came into power. His family came to throne. And they became the rulers of Babylon. His son, they report Canaan, and some people say no, Namrud is the direct son of Cush. So Namrud would be called Namrud bin Canaan bin Cush bin Ham bin Nuh. Some people say no, he's Namrud bin Cush bin Ham bin Nuh. Either ways, he is a descendant of Ham. Namrud, he's also known as Zahak in Persian, or Al-Dhahhak in Arabic. And he is also known as Mardukh. Mardukh in the Babylonian language. And Mardukh is a very familiar name for those who read about the Babylonian mythology. Why is that? Let's see how everything connects. So we said that Namrud or Mardukh or Zahak, let's call him Namrud for the sake of the story, lived as the king of Babylon. In the mythologies, Anno, the Sumerian mythology, Anno, the god of light, the god of gods, this is what they say in the Sumerian mythology. He gave Mardukh the crown and power, and he called him Enlil, and he asked him to be the king on earth and the god of wind. It was reported that Namrud, he's a prince. Before he became a king, he was a prince in a very strong nation, Babylonia, and his father was the king. Iblis met with Namrud. Now, of course, Iblis did not show him his true form. He met with him as a human. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the motto of our series. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam alla ta'budu shaitan, right? Shaitan. So this is where it connects together. This is where it's established. A direct worship of Iblis. How so? Iblis tells Namrud in his meeting with Namrud, he says, Namrud, I will teach you wisdom, I'll teach you sciences that nobody ever knew about this before. I will give you power. I will give you control, and I'll make you a king of all kings on earth. But let people worship me, because I'm the God. Waliyadu billah. And I brought the light. And let people worship this and this and this. What is the science and the wisdom that Iblis taught Namrud? It was not a science or wisdom. It was black magic. He taught him magic, as-sihr. This is what he taught him. And magic, black magic, it is basically worshipping Iblis. The rituals and everything you're doing is to worship Iblis. one of their rituals is to, very, very disgusting rituals, but one of them is to kill animals for the sake of getting closer to the god, and their god, as we said, is Iblis, right? There's even more disgusting things and disturbing facts. You hear about it every day, and especially we have in social media now. We have social media and we have a lot of reports regarding that and insane people. So those are their rituals. So Namrud started spreading this among his people. He killed his father, became the king of Babylon, and he started spreading the idea of Anno, the god of light, worship Anno, and started building statues. And he claimed himself as God. And he also claimed other deities as God. Started building idols, and he started telling people, the sun is a god. Build an idol for the sun, and this idol would be based on something. For instance, واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر فيتعلمون منهما ما يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله ويتعلمون ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ولقد علموا لمن اشتراه ما له في الآخرة من خلاق ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم لو كانوا يعلمون. This story of Harut and Marut. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and they followed instead what the devils had recited during the reign of Solomon. It was not Solomon who disbelieved, but the devils disbelieved, teaching people magic, and that which was revealed to the two angels at Babylon, Harut and Marut. But the two angels do not teach anyone unless they say, we are a trial, do not disbelieve by practicing magic. And yet, they learn from them that by which they cause separation between a man and his wife, but they do not harm anyone through it except by permission of Allah. And the people learn what harms them and does not benefit them. But the children of Israel certainly knew that whoever purchased the magic would not have in the hereafter any share. And wretched is that for which they sold themselves if they only knew. Babel, became the center of magic and worshipping Iblis and all of those disgusting rituals that we hear. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to clear this. He wanted to clean this. So he sent Harut and Marut. Now, many variations of the story. Some say that Harut and Marut were two angels who said, oh Allah, you created those humans. Look how they're not worshipping you. Now they're worshipping Iblis. They're killing each other. They're doing injustice and ungood. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if you were like them, you would have done probably worse. So Harut and Marut said, no, we're angels, we're going to worship you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm going to let you descend into earth in the form of humans, and I will give you the choice of humans, between right and wrong. And let's see how you do. Now that's a variation. Another variation is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just sent them for teaching people. But either ways, they taught people. Inshallah. Okay, so inshallah we're going to continue after the adhan, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. So, to recap, Babel became the center of magic, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Harut and Marut. Either ways, Harut and Marut, So nevertheless of the story, how it is reported to us, Harut and Marut, they had a task either ways. It was to teach the people of Babylon and the world how to revoke magic through teaching them what they need to know from magic. So because many people said, well, how could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, how could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send angels to teach people magic? It's illogical, right? So magic is good, isn't it? No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send them to teach them magic. He sent them to teach them magic in order to revoke magic, to teach them what they should know in magic, to protect themselves. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا يُعَلِّمَانِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ حَتَّى يَقُولَا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ فِتْنَةٌ فَلَا تَكْفُرْ فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ وَمَا هُمْ بِضَارِّينَ بِهِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ وَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that they cannot hurt anyone without the permission of Allah. Harut and Marut, each time they're teaching someone, they're saying, what you are about to learn is fitna. You can use it in good, you can use it in bad, but we are teaching you because we want you to use it in good. We want you to revoke the worship of Iblis. We want you to revoke those terrible and disgusting rituals. And so one time, a lady who was known to be very beautiful, the most beautiful woman in all of earth back then, came to Harut and Marut. Now, two reports for this as well, that she just told them that, asked them for committing adultery with her, and they refused. But the most accepted report is that she locked them. She tricked them and locked them. Remember, Harut and Marut, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them in human forms and gave them the human choice. So they're just like humans now. And they don't have the specialties of an angel. So she locked them, tricked them and locked them. And then she said, I'm not going to release you unless you do one of those three. You either drink alcohol, you either commit adultery with me, or you either kill a child. So Harut and Marut said, if we kill the child, we have committed an unjustifiable action or injustice action against that child. And if we have committed adultery with you, we have committed an injustice act against you. However, if we drink alcohol, the only injustice act we're doing is against ourselves. So they did not want to spread injustice. So they decided to just be injustice against their own selves. So they drank alcohol. Now, alcohol in Arabic, we call it al-Khaba'ith, the mother of everything bad. So they drank alcohol, they got drunk. Why is it the mother of everything bad? Because once they got drunk, they committed adultery with her, and they killed the child. So they have done everything that they should not do. They have committed every single haram and forbidden. So they did the injustice in all ways. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became so mad with this lady. He became so angry with her. So he turned her into a planet. That planet, we call it today Venus, Az-Zuhra. Now, in the Babylonian mythologies, there is a goddess, her name is Ishtar or Inanna, which her name means the queen of heavens. And her symbol is the star of Venus. And when they used to worship her, the Sumerians, now I'm speaking in an archaeological language. I'm not speaking from a religious perspective. This is what even atheists say. People, Sumerians, when they wanted to worship her, her idol would be placed in a way that would be parallel to Venus when they see it on the sky. Venus is the most bright star or planet you could ever see in your bare eye, your naked eye, without a telescope. And so they would worship her through Venus. All right? Ishtar or Inanna is the goddess in the Sumerian mythology, is the goddess of fertility and love. Her name is also Aphrodite in Greek. Her name is also Venus in Roman. Her name is also Isis in the Egyptian mythology. Now, where am I going with all of this? Iblis told Namrud to spread the worship of Iblis, right? Now Namrud started his campaign to conquer the known world back then, and he succeeded. He conquered the known world, and he became the king of all regions. The Prophet ﷺ said that there were 4 kings that ruled over the world. 2 were believers and 2 were disbelievers. The 2 believers were Sulaiman and Dhul Qarnayn. The 2 disbelievers were Nabuchodonosor and Namrud. If you look at the Egyptian mythologies, the Greek mythologies, the Roman mythologies, you're going to find the exact same incidents and actions and names and the names, if they're different, it's just because of the difference of language. For instance, the Sumerian mythology says that the world was empty. There was chaos, and then there was water, and the water had a child, a god child, who separated heavens from earth, and so on. In the Greek mythology, the world was empty, there was nothing but chaos. Chaos had a child, the child separated heavens and earth. In the Egyptian mythology, the world was empty, there was Ra. Ra had a child, he separated heavens and earth. This is what the Namrud did. He spread the worship of Iblis. And this is why you find the Egyptian mythology so similar to the Greek mythology, so similar to the Sumerian mythology. They're worshiping the same figures. And it was a chaos, an absolute chaos in the world. No one was worshiping Allah. And it's a big thing now. They're worshiping Iblis directly. Before, they used to worship like the good people, and like the people, the scholars, and then they would make idols. This is what we said, right? They make idols and then they worship them. Now they're worshiping Iblis directly, and whoever from Iblis's partners, and whoever was bad, like Ishtar, And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became very, very unsatisfied and unpleasant and very angry with the people. Now one day, Namrud, he ruled all over the world, right? This did not satisfy his needs. He became so obsessed with power. And this is where it comes, the word Namrud. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him power. It's not Iblis who gave him power. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gave him power. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him power and he allowed him to rule over the world. He was ungrateful to Allah. Namrud comes from al-juhud in Arabic, to be ungrateful. Not just this. It is also reported that Namrud turned against Iblis because Iblis said that, worship me and I'll make people worship you, and people will worship other things and figures, make idols for me, and this is where everything and all this corruption started spreading. He taught him corruption. So he became more corrupt. So he built the Tower of Babylon, Burj Babel. And he said, I want to conquer heavens and become not just the king of earth, also the king of heavens. And he said, I'm the only God. Don't worship Anno anymore or Iblis. And just a quick note, in Christianity, Iblis is called Lucifer, which has the same meaning as Anno, light. Because Iblis claims to Namrud that he is light in order to corrupt people. And he is all darkness, he's not really light. So he built the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, or the Tower of Babylon, in order to reach its top, you had to walk for a year. A whole year to reach its top. This is how tall it was. And he made it its palace, Namrud. Now one time he was sleeping and he saw a very terrifying dream. He woke up and then he asked the people to interpret the dream for him. The interpreters said, there is a man, he's going to be born in your kingdom. We don't exactly know where. And he is going to be the reason that you're going to lose all of your crown and your kingdom and everything. Namrud was the first king to have a crown in history. This is why having a crown is an act of arrogance. When the Khulafa came to power, they never had a crown. They never asked for a crown. They were emperors, but they never asked for a crown because it's an act of arrogance. It's a challenge for Allah. You have to be humble. Now Namrud was challenging Allah, challenging everything. He thought he's the God. So during this year, same year, he saw this dream. Ibrahim alayhi salam was born. Ibrahim was born to Tarih or Azar, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes him in the Quran. Now they say Azar is his nickname because he worshipped a specific god or an idol named Azar. Some say Azar comes from Azar al-Qawm, that he supported his people, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls him Azar, because he supported the people of Ibrahim against Ibrahim. So the mother of Ibrahim, her name is Amelia or Buna. This is what they reported, Amelia or Buna. She was terrified that she would lose her child, Ibrahim. He would be killed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he Alhamha came from revelation, but he did not send Jibreel or anything. She's not like Maryam alayhi salam. But you know, when you have this thought or feeling that you have to do something and you think it's the right thing to do, the right decision, this is what happened to her. And it was given to her by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indirectly. So she went to the city of Ur. So Ibrahim was born in Babel. She went to the city of Ur. Ur is a city in southern Iraq today, near the city of Basra. So she went to Ur, raised him there. Ibrahim, when he was raised there, he would see people worshipping, those idols, and then worshipping the planets. Till this day, in Damascus city, there are around a couple of doors, Bab Tuma, Bab Zghir, all of these doors that we call. And you can see the carving of symbols that represent the planets people used to worship through the idols. There was temples in each of these doors, and they would worship the idols and the planets. So for Ibrahim, this was very illogical. Like, why would you worship something that cannot speak to you? And this is very illogical. Does not make sense. I'm not going to worship these idols. So Ibrahim alayhi salam refused and rejected the religion of his people from a very young age. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about this, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ رُشْدَهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَكُنَّا بِهِ عَالِمِينَ. We have gave him wisdom. We have mentored him. Okay? And we were knowledgeable of his ability to think and his rationality. Ibrahim's father, Tarih or Azar, he used to work as a idols constructor, idols maker. So he used to do the idols. So he was close to the king. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the message to Ibrahim. So Ibrahim's questions and doubts were answered. And he was correct. This is what turned out. Yes, the idols are wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to worship me and preach for people to worship him, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he went to the closest people that he knew. He went to his father and his family. So let's identify Ibrahim and Ibrahim's family before we move forward. So Ibrahim, his name is Ibrahim, the son of Tarih or Azar, the son of Nahur, the son of Saruh, the son of Ra'u, the son of Faligh, the son of Hud or Abir, the son of Shalih, the son of Arfakhashad, the son of Sam, the son of Nuh. Ibrahim had two other brothers, Nahur and Haran. Haran is the father of Lut alayhi salam. And Haran died during the life of Tarih. So when Ibrahim was a little, and it was left with Lut. Ibrahim alayhi salam got married to Sarah alayhi salam, and Sarah is Babylonian. Ibrahim is Babylonian, because there are several reports and claims that people claim that Ibrahim is Jewish, or Ibrahim is Kurdish, or Ibrahim is Arab. Ibrahim is neither of those. He's not Arab, he's not Kurdish, he's not Jewish. Ibrahim is Chaldean. He's Chaldean, Babylonian. What's that? Not Assyrian, he is Chaldean. Kildani. And he spoke the Chaldean language, which is the Syriac in nowadays. But they wrote with a different writing system, which is known as al-Khat al-Mismari. back then. So anyhow, this was the family of Ibrahim. So he preached for them, and no one accepted his faith but Lut and his wife Sarah. They believed in him. But Tarih did not believe in his child's preaching. And he threatened Ibrahim that he is going to stone him if he didn't stop saying that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about this, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ يَا أَبَتِي لِمَ تَعْبُدُ مَا لَا يَسْمَعُ وَلَا يُبْصِرُ وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْكَ شَيْئًا. Oh my father, why are you worshipping something that cannot hear you, that cannot talk back to you, that cannot see you, and cannot benefit you by any means? يَا أَبَتِي لَا تَعْبُدِ الشَّيْطَانَ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ كَانَ لِلرَّحْمَنِ عَصِيًّا. Don't worship the shaitan, because what they're worshipping, again, the God, the ultimate God they had, the God of gods in the Sumerian mythology, Anno, is basically Iblis. So Ibrahim warns his father, what you're worshipping is Iblis. Don't worship Iblis. إِنِّي قَدْ جَاءَنِيَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ مَا لَمْ يَأْتِكَ فَاتَّبِعْنِي أَهْدِكَ صِرَاطًا سَوِيًّا. I got knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give to you. So follow what I'm telling you. Follow what I'm preaching for you. This is the straight path. يا أبتي إني أخاف أن يمسك عذاب من الرحمن فتكون للشيطان وليا. My father, I'm terrified that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send upon you torture. قال أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم لئن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك وهجرني مليا. Why are you saying this about my gods? Are you leaving my gods? If you don't stop, I am going to stone you. And isolate yourself. Leave us alone. We don't want your preaching. قال سلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي إنه كان بي حفيا. So his father responded with violence, threatening. But Ibrahim alayhi salam, and this should be the character of every Muslim, he responded with peace. He told him, peace to you. Salamun alayka. I will give you peace. I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your forgiveness. Okay, inshallah, just let me finish this one verse. Inshallah. And he said, وَأَعْتَزِلُكُمْ وَمَا تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَأَدْعُو رَبِّي عَسَىٰ أَلَّا أَكُونَ بِدُعَاءِ رَبِّي شَقِيًّا. And I will be isolated from you, preaching for those who has believed in me, and I may ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to never leave me in vain. Inshallah, we're going to continue after Salat al-Isha real quick, so nobody is late for home, inshallah. Ready? Inshallah? Ready? Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الخلق والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, inshallah, we continue our lesson. But before we continue from where we stopped, I just wanted to clarify regarding Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. So I had a question, somebody that asked me. I said earlier that Ibrahim was Chaldean, right? Kildani. And it was reported by the Prophet ﷺ that Ismail is Arabi. If Ismail is Arabi and his father is Kildani, it's contradicting, right? So Ismail would not be Arabi. So remember when I said Idris alayhi salam huwa awwal man khatta bil qalam. He's the first to write. Have established a writing system. Now, if you look at the screen, you can see this. It's a letter, but I presume it's a shape. Is that what it's called in English? This shape, okay? So, if we remember, Idris alayhi salam traveled to Egypt. He was the king of Egypt. He established Egypt, and he initiated writing. Scientifically, this shape that you're seeing is called Alpo or Alep, which means ox. This is the letter A or A or Alif in Proto-Sinaic or اللغة السينائية القديمة. And Sina, where is it today? Sina is today in Egypt, right? So it's near the area where Idris was. SubhanAllah. So Idris spoke Syriac. Ghiath spoke Syriac. Nuh spoke Syriac, and Adam spoke Syriac. However, the first language Adam spoke with was Arabic in heavens, but when he repented and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him, he returned the tongue of Arabic to him. So his descendants, the prophet ones at least, Idris, for instance, he would know Arabic. So when he would write the script, he would write it with an Arabic tongue, باللغة العربية. And so we have the script. Now, I'll draw the script. Right? So this is how it would look like when they want to draw it. Now throughout years, people wanted to make this easier. So they would have variations. So let's say So they would draw it like that, for instance, right? All right? Or let's say like that. And then they have it like that. So throughout the years, it would become like this. This is the word alif in Phoenician, اللغة الفينيقية. All right. Again, throughout the years, it would be written in a different ways. Think about it like a handwriting. Think about it like a handwriting. When you want to write in a certain language, English, Arabic, we all have different handwritings, right? So people who were writing these languages, they had different handwritings. Throughout the years, it would change. It would not remain the same. So someone would write it like this, and then someone would put this like that. Someone would do it like this. All right? In Hebrew, the handwriting of the word alif is like that. The printed version is like this. All right? So, it evolved throughout the years for this shape. The alif of the al-Aramiyya. So, they would write it like an X, right? It resembles it, right? It would be easier to write it that way because originally, it was what? Let me move this. Originally, it was like that. And then people would start writing it like this. And then people were like, this is hard to write. Let's just write it like that. So this is the alif in Aramaic. Throughout the years, it would continue to change, and the writing system would continue to change, and then we would have it like this. This is alif in Syriac, اللغة السريانية. And then in Arabic, we'd have it like that. So the writing system of Arabic that we know today is descended from Syriac, which descends from Aramaic, which descends from Phoenician, which descends from Proto-Sinaic. So, how does this relate with the ethnicity of Ibrahim? Language is important in determining the nationality of the person, not the ethnicity. Now, the ethnicity, eventually, we are all descendants of who? Adam. So there is really no ethnicity. There is really no structure of ethnicity. The idea of ethnicity started when we had Nuh and his children. Right? We had Sam, Ham, Japheth. So ethnicity basically is, who do you descend from? Which ancestor do you have? And this is where we have Semites, Hamites, and Japhethians, right? So the people of Nuh, he spoke Syriac, and then his children from Sam would continue on to speak variations of languages. From Arabic descends every other language. How so? The words. Now, when Idris wrote this, the alif, when we say ah, it resembles the sound that an ox would make. This is why they called it the letter ox, right? Because it resembled the sound of an ox. Language itself is a sound. It sounds, right? Seen. This is a sound. Throughout years, people would start diversifying. Some people would not be able to, pronounce a certain letter, right? Like ayn, for instance. Not everyone can pronounce ayn. So in Hebrew, for instance, nowadays, some of them can't pronounce ayn. So instead they say the word alif. Or a more clarified example, in English, they can't say ayn. They say a. The Latin alphabet, which we write in English, descends from Phoenician. If you look at the Phoenician letter of A or Aleph, it really resembles an A. They just flipped it. Okay? So the Japhithians, the descendants of Japheth, they could not say the Ain. So throughout years, what would happen is that they would either disregard a letter, they would either add it to another letter, so they would just disregard Ain, and then merge it with A. So it would be A. So anything that was Ain, it would be replaced with an A. People would pronounce certain words differently. And because of diversification, because of different tongues, it would turn from the original language into dialect. The English we speak or write with today and speak is very different than the English 500 years ago. The English of 500 years ago resembles German or a Nordic language like Swedish, if you look into it. Now, the descendants of Arphakhashad from Sam, they are part of this diversifications of languages. So they developed their own writing system throughout, this is how I showed you, throughout the years, and eventually they would have Phoenician, and then eventually they would have Khat al-Masnad, which is a very famous writing script in Yemen. If you look at it, you would think that it's Russian, but it's actually Arabic. So this is the language that Ad spoke, Hud, alayhi salam. He spoke Arabic, but not the Arabic we speak today. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ismail أول من تحدث باللغة العربية المبينة. Hud تحدث باللغة العربية. So Hud spoke Arabic. Ismail spoke the clarified Arabic. There's a difference. The old Arabic, there's an ancient Arabic, and there's the clarified Arabic. The clarified Arabic is the Arabic we speak today. The ancient Arabic, it is similar to the modern Arabic. However, it's also very similar with other Semitic languages. Remember, they all descend from one language. They all come from one language. And so he had two children, Qahtan. Qahtan would continue to speak with the tongue of his father and his ancestors, the old Arabic, the ancient Arabic. And we would have this Arabic derived throughout the years, this type of Arabic, all right? Bear with me. Now, Faligh, he would go to who? Mesopotamia, right? Where? Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, there are the children of Ashur, and the children of Ailam, and the children of Ham. And they have their own their own type or method of writing or reading this language, this dialect of this proto-language or the mother language of all nations. And he has his own language, his own tongue. So his tongue would get spoiled. His children would learn from his language and other languages. So the languages gets mixed. And this is where we get Chaldean and all of those other languages. Ibrahim, he spoke Chaldean. He spoke this language. The language of the Babylonians, right? Syriac. تحدث اللغة السريانية. Now, is Ibrahim Arab or is he not Arab? Why did I explain all of this for you? Ibrahim, his tongue is not Arabic. His native tongue is not Arabic. So he's not Arab by nationality. Ethnically, he's Arab, yes. Because he descends from Hud. Hud is Arab. So ethnically he is. So nowadays, if you have someone who's born in America, let's say, and he's Arab, but he does not know how to speak English at all. Arabic at all. He only knows how to speak English, right? And he's born in America, and he is affiliated with the culture of America, right? His descendants, they're not Arab anymore. They're Americans. Yes, they're originally Arab, but they're Americans. Their ethnicity is Arab, but they're not Arab anymore. This is the same thing with Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Ibrahim, his tongue is not Arabic. His father's tongue is not Arabic. His grandfather's tongue is not Arabic. The only person who spoke Arabic in his lineage was Hud alayhi salam. He's originally Arab, but he's not Arabic anymore. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith that al-Arabi man tahaddatha bil-Arabiyya, man kana lisanuhu Arabi. So you have people today in the Arab world, they're originally from Africa or Persia or Turkey, but they're Arabs. We have famous families in Damascus. They're originally Turkish. Their ancestors 500 years ago spoke Turkish. They did not speak Arabic, but now they're Arabs because they speak Arabic. Ethnically, they're not Arabs. Ethnically. 500 years ago, they were not Arabs. But now they are Arabs. So is that clear? So Ismail alayhi salam, when he was raised in Mecca with Jurhum. Jurhum is a Qahtani tribe, right? So they spoke the language of Ad, the Arabic variation of Ad. Remember the Arabic variation that went alone in Yemen? Yeah, this Arabic would return back with Ismail. So Ismail would have the mixture of the tongue of Jurhum and his father's original tongue, Syriac. This mixture, from it, we got Arabic that we speak of today. اللغة العربية المبينة. From this mixture. And this is how Ismail was the first person to speak the Arabic we know of today. And thus he's Arab, because his tongue was this type of Arabic. This dialect of Arabic. And his children would descend and they would all be Arab, become Arab. Is that clear? Inshallah? Okay. Of course. So just to finish real quick, because the time is not with us. So Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he talked with his parents, his family, his father, and his father did not accept, and he told him, "I'm going to stone you if you don't stop preaching what you're preaching." So Ibrahim alayhi salam replied with peace. May peace be upon you. I'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your forgiveness, and I'll be isolated preaching for the people who believed in me. So what did he do? Ibrahim, why was he special? Because he was rational. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the ability of being rational, giving reason. So he went with his people and he said, I'm going to go with you while you guys are worshipping. So he went with his people and saw the temples. And the people would worship Ishtar, the goddess of fertility and love, which is resembled by the planet Venus, Kawkab al-Zuhra. So he would see the ayahs that we just read in the Salah, which he would see the planet. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. Now, what happened basically, once he saw the planet, he said, "Oh, look, that's the Lord." But then the planet faded. You can't see it, disappeared in the sky. So Ibrahim, in front of his people were looking, were hearing him. He said, wait, he faded? He ceased to exist anymore? I can't see him. What type of God is this? I don't like those type of gods. So then the moon would come out. So he would say, "Oh, look, the moon, it's more shiny, it's more bright, it's larger, it's more beautiful. That's the Lord." And then again the moon faded and the night passed away. And he said, "Oh, the moon faded. Well, what type of Lord is this? Oh, Lord, whoever you are, please guide me to the right path." So he's mocking his people. He's being rational with them. Like, this is what you guys are worshipping, right? The stars, the idols. Let's see if that's true or not. Finally, the sun would come out and he would say, oh, this is God. This is the Lord. It's very huge. It's very bright. That's the Lord, of course. There's no doubt. All right? And then the sunset would come. The sun would fade away. And he said, you know what? That's it. Not the sun, not the moon, not the planet. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's God. And the people start having doubts. They're like, yeah, he's right. Like how a God would cease to exist like this periodically. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this. وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمَهُ قَالَ أَتُحَاجُّونِّي فِي اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانِ وَلَا أَخَافُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَلَا أَخَافُ مَا أَشْرَكْتُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ عَلَيْكُمْ سُلْطَانًا. So I'm not scared from those idols. They're not going to hurt me. I'm not scared from the planets. They're not going to hurt me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guided me. He's the true God and only God. And so one time, the people had a celebration. This celebration is known as Akito in the Sumerian mythology, which is a celebration they do on the 1st of Nisan. Nisan is the month of April. The 1st of each April, they would celebrate. And it's a very huge celebration. They sometimes take 12 days to celebrate it. So they left the city, even though his father, the father of Ibrahim, as I said, why don't you come with us? But he said, I'm sick. I'll just remain home. So he remained home. And he went to their temples and he found how huge their idols and their temples decorated with gold and beautiful things. And then he saw food in front of each idol. So he looked at the food and then he looked at the idols and he said, why aren't you eating? Eat, mocking them. So the idols did not reply. So he waited for a reply. And then he said, why aren't you responding? Respond. So Ibrahim then grabbed an axe, and then he started destroying all the idols. And then he grabbed this tool and then he put it on the largest idol. The people came back. They saw this. They said, who did this to our gods? So some people said, we heard a boy by the name of Ibrahim. He keeps mentioning them and he keeps saying they're not the gods and preaching for another god. Just bring him and ask him. Maybe we can know who did this. So the people ask him, did you do this? Ibrahim responds, why don't you ask the largest guy over there? I mean, I see the tool of destroying in his neck. Just ask him. And the people looked at him. They're like, what are you saying? You know he's not going to respond. You know he doesn't talk. So Ibrahim looks at them and says, oh, you said it. He doesn't talk. Are you worshiping something that can't talk to you, can't see you, can't listen to you, cannot benefit you, cannot harm you? What type of an idol is, what type of a god is that? So the people glares at each other and they're like, well, he's right. We're pathetic. He is right. But then arrogance, bigotry, and ignorance does this to the human being. If we do not guide ourselves by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who guides us through our humanity, and to respect ourselves. So they said, you know what? That's it. We're going to kill you. And Ibrahim was not scared, of course. He said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And this is why today, every time we have a terrible situation or sometimes a very deadly situation, we would say, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Because look what Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil did. There was a man, a Kurdish man by the name of Hazan. And he built the minjaniq for them. A minjaniq was a military tool that would throw rocks and other things in military to destroy buildings specifically. And he built this. And they agreed that they're going to get all the wood from everywhere, all types of wood. They're going to gather it and they're going to put flame, a huge flame that never has been lit before. And they're going to throw Ibrahim in this minjaniq to the flame. So they grabbed Ibrahim, they tied him with ropes, they put him in, and he kept saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. He did not say anything, he just kept saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And they threw him. The whole world was in vain. It was reported by the Prophet ﷺ that the animals were trying to put down the fire. They were blowing and trying to put down the fire, except for one animal. It's like a lizard. that was blowing in order to make the flame keep erupting. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to kill this animal every time. Not the hirbaya, no, it's bors, yes, bors in the Arabic dialect. He ordered us ﷺ to kill it every time we see it. It has like a very, it's not beneficial. So the animals are trying to blow the fire so they can put it down. And the angels, they were annoyed, like they want to save Ibrahim. So the rain angel, he said, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give me the ability to make the rain fall, when is he going to give me this order so I can just put down the fire? And Jibreel came to Ibrahim while Ibrahim was on air, being shot to the fire. He came to him and he said, what is your wish? What do you want? Ask me for anything. So Ibrahim said, I don't want anything from you. So Ibrahim had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's told him, I don't want anything from you. You're not going to help me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to help me. And he kept saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. So all of these efforts did not help put down the fire. But one command, one order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended everything. Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just said this. He was put in the fire. Everyone was shocked and amazed. Nothing happened to him. He was not burnt. The only thing that burned was the ropes tying him. That's the only thing that got burned. And now he's free to go. The people were amazed, like, how did this happen? This is a miracle. So Ibrahim alayhi salam stayed there for, they say, for 40 or 50 days, 50 nights in the fire. Nothing has happened to him. And people are shocked. There's also a report that his mother and his father were very glad and happy. I mean, in the end, that's their son. And his mother asked for him that she can go through the fire so she can just hug him, like, from happiness. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the fire does not burn her. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to his wish. And she came and hugged him and kissed him, and then she left the fire. So after this, Namrud, remember, the tyrant king, he heard about all of this and all of this chaos going on, and this guy preaching against him and his religion and what he established, and asking people to worship Iblis and then worship him. And then he asked him to come over. So Ibrahim did his hijrah, his migration from Ur to Babel. And it's not safe to live in Ur anymore because his people want to kill him. So he migrated from Ur with his family to Babel. Namrud then said, Ibrahim, what is that I heard? You're saying that there is another God? I am the God. Waliyadu billah, he says. So Ibrahim says, so if you're the God, can you make people live and die? ألم تر الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك إذ قال إبراهيم ربي الذي يحيي ويميت قال أنا أحيي وأميت. So the man said, I make people live and die. So he ordered 2 prisoners to come over. So he said, you are executed. So they killed 1 prisoner. And then he said, you are free to go. He said, look, I killed someone and then I made someone live. Of course, Ibrahim laughed, mocking him, like, this is not how you make people live and die. But then said, okay, fine. You know what? Fine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the sun from the east, right? It rises from the east. Can you bring it from the west? Look at the way he thinks, Ibrahim. I say he's very rational. It's very amazing. قال فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأتي بها من المغرب فبهت الذي كفر. Namrud looked and he said, no, I can't. I'm a human. That's reality. He's not God. He's human. So Namrud said, you know what? I'm going to kill you. That's it. Like, yeah, I get why all wanted to kill you. Now I'm going to kill you. So he ordered the military to go after him and the army. And we're going to talk about the migration of Ibrahim to Harran and Halab and all of these, inshallah, on the next dars, inshallah. But to conclude, there are people who believed in Ibrahim because his hujjah, his reasoning was so strong. Look at his rationality. So some people gathered an army together. They wanted to worship and all of that. But Namrud gathered an army to kill him. So they gathered an army to fight back to defend themselves. And earlier, remember when I said that one man was Kurdish and he is the one who made the minjaniq to throw Ibrahim? I don't want this to be used as, look, Kurds are bad or anything. The man who was the leader of the battle to fight Namrud was also Kurdish. Because I don't want, again, part of this series is to fight racism. We all descend from Adam. So I don't want anyone to say, see, it's a Kurdish who did this. But also the Kurdish man, he fought, he was the leader of the army against Namrud to defend Ibrahim alayhi salam. So, of course, that army was so little, it was so weak. And the army of Namrud, he's the king of all the known world, it was so huge and large. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports his believers, the Muslims. So he sends the mosquitoes, a huge army of mosquitoes that it was very huge to the point where they could not see the sun anymore. And it came upon the army of Namrud and it killed every single person in that army, leaving only Namrud and his wife. The army of Namrud was left from them only the bones. The mosquitoes ate their skins and ate their meat. Just left the bones. One mosquito, we all know how the mosquito's size, right? What is their size? They're very small. One mosquito went into his nose, Namrud's nose, and went into his head and stayed there. So at night, he would hear like the mosquito's sound in his head. Stop, make it stop. It cannot stop. So they figured out the only way to stop this, either to hit his head in a shoe or to hit it with a metal stick. That's the only way to stop it, to calm it. For 400 years, it stayed there. 400 years, people would hit the king of kings with a shoe on his head, just to make him feel comfortable. Remember the Tower of Babylon? That's the second punishment now from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an earthquake come upon Babel. That tower, the very tall tower, descended on top of Namrud, fell on top of him and killed him. This is the fate of Jababira. This is the fate of tyrants. Don't challenge Allah. This is what's going to happen to you if you challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was the end of Namrud. However, unfortunately, this was the organized start of the fight between good and bad. Because now people are actually worshipping Iblis. And from them, we're going to see how those mythologies corrupted the creed of Ahlul Kitab. And we're going to compare between what they believe in and those mythologies and how it got corrupted, and that they're actually worshipping Iblis without them knowing. At last, I want to conclude with this. There is a shubha that non-Muslims say, that we Muslims worship the god of the moon. Allah is the god of the moon. All right? Because, the original Arabs during Jahiliyyah, they worshipped Allat wal Uzza wa Manat, right? One of the gods, they worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they said that this idol was for the moon. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ لَا تَسْجُدُوا لِلشَّمْسِ وَلَا لِلْقَمَرِ. So our religion denies this. The Quran denies this. We do not worship the moon god. We worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us not to bow for either the sun or the moon. I mean, if he's the god of the moon, how is he ordering us to bow for the moon, right? So that's inshallah the reply for this shubha or fitna. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. I'm sorry to take a long time. Inshallah, we're going to continue the story of Ibrahim next lesson, inshallah. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيمن أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت إنك تقضي بالحق وإنه لا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تسلط علينا من لا يرحمنا يا أرحم الراحمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. صلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحة على نية التوفيق في الدرس, and also الفاتحة for the souls of the people who got martyred. رحمهم الله وجزاكم الله خير.